My name is Jackson Bitsakis, and at 19, I bought this gym that we're in right now, had 3 amateur boxing fights, and started my own business, all within a year's span. And today we're going to talk about what it takes to actually win and succeed, and why you might not deserve it. Winning and the lifestyle of a winner is not actually what most people are after. They're after the fruits of the labor that they see on Instagram. They're after the girls on the boats. They're after all the money in the clubs. They're after the supercars. But what it takes to get there is so much different. What it takes to get there has nothing to do with that. What it takes to get there is an unhealthy obsession with the work itself. And that's what we're going to go over today. If you're actually okay with winning, and if you're actually on track to become a winner, a person who succeeds in life, a person who gets what they want, gets the business they want, gets the money they want, gets the girls they want, gets the body they want, you're okay with hearing these uncomfortable truths because you understand that this feeling that you're getting right now, a bit of a slap in the face, a bit of a wake-up call, is exactly probably what you need to hear. You understand it's not all sunshine and rainbows, and you understand there's a bit of darkness to this path, and that's what we're going to go over a bit. And I want to start with the work itself. The places you have to go mentally during this journey of your success is going to be dark, and you're going to need some form of fuel to get you there, whether it's past trauma, whether it's addiction/obsession, whether it's greed or lust. You understand it's not all sunshine and rainbows. If I could talk to this younger version of myself, which is what I'm trying to do with you now, is I would tell you, I would just give you a glimpse. I would give you a glimpse into the work that I have to do. I would give you a glimpse into 50% of the effort that I have to exert to actually achieve these goals. And you'd understand what it really takes. You have to be a bit delusional to start. So step 1 to winning is confidence. A delusional sense of self-confidence that you can achieve what you want to achieve. And I say delusional because the version of me that wanted this, the version of me that started this journey, had zero idea of how hard this would be and zero idea of the effort that it would take. And he had no power to do that work. I had to develop that power through the process, which is exactly what happens. You become more powerful, stronger as you level up in the game of business, life, and status. But you have to start with this delusional self-confidence because you actually don't have a fucking clue what it takes to win. Because if you did, you'd be scared right away. You'd be running with your tail between your legs straight back to your mum, asking to get everything handed to you because all you want is the actual success and not the work itself. So you want to win, and there's no chance you're going to be scared off by this because you don't even have 10% of an understanding of what it actually takes until you get there. And that's the scary thing. You'll never know until you get there. After that is taking the leap. It's that first video on YouTube that you post. It's that first time that you go to the gym. It's the first time you meet up with a bunch of entrepreneurs in your local community and you realize you are so low. You are the smallest fish in this big pond. So once you have that delusional self-confidence and you actually step into it and you realize, fuck, this water's deep and I'm either going to sink or swim, you have to stay there. You have to stay in this space treading water for a bit. This means figuring it out along the way. This means being shit at videos and uploading a couple of them anyway. This means being scared to talk to clients, but doing it anyway. This means going to the gym and continuing to go when you're seeing no real progress at the start. This is the valley of despair, which I've gone through in another video. The progress in your journey isn't going to be this nice linear graph straight up. It's going to look a little something like this, where you're feeling confident at the start, and then that confidence drops because you realize you're the small fish in a big pond. And if you stick this out, which I'm hoping you will, and I have a feeling that you will, that's when you start seeing that initial progress. That's when you get maybe half the confidence that you started with because you still know how much it's going to take and how much work you need to do. But finally, you're in too deep now and you're making a little bit of progress. So you're feeling confident and you're feeling good about yourself for pushing through. And step 3 is to climb. This is probably the longest step, although it doesn't feel as long as the second step, that valley of despair. The valley of despair sucks because you have to sit in the fire. You have to sit treading in these deep, murky waters without knowing what's underneath you, what's going to drag you down for a while, for at least 3 weeks to a couple of months of not knowing if this is going to work. And I promise you, if you stick this out, you're going to start seeing some progress because you've already separated yourself from 90% of people who don't make it to the first step, which is going to these places, meeting these people that scare you, doing these things that you know you're well out of your depth in, training when you don't want to, talking to people when you don't want to, recording videos when you don't want to, working when you don't want to, and seeing no progress at the same time. I wish I could dap you up for that if you are in this stage, because this is the point where you need the most support. But the fun thing about that stage is that you don't get any support because you're in the middle of finding a new group of people, a new tribe, because you've left your old friends and you're looking for a new group of friends that are actually going to take you to the place that you need to go. Not friends that are going to drag you down into these deep waters, or friends that delude your sense of confidence, making you feel better than you are when you know that you're not. So the climb consists of a couple things: 12-hour work days, very difficult conversations with people. For example, the past couple of weeks, I've been working 12-hour days, setting up a new business model to propose to about 60 people at 19, and 4 of those being team members. 50 clients and 4 team members. I have to propose this completely new model with a lack of confidence because I don't know if it's going to work, but I have a feeling that it might. I have this sense of delusional confidence that I can pull it off because I have pulled off these things in the past. And that's an awesome skill that you unlock once you've come out of the valley of despair, is committing to yourself, trusting your gut. Once you start the climb, there's going to be a lot of ups and downs. There's going to be a lot of points where you feel like you're making the right move, but you don't. There's going to be a lot of points where you don't feel like you're making the right move in the short term, but in the long term, it's going to pay off. I remember when I bought this gym, we had to transfer over 50 clients from the previous owner to me. Now that sounds like a pretty straightforward process, but when you understand the real mechanics of getting them to be convinced that you are the leader now, you are the one that's going to take charge. And especially as a younger man in an older person's world, this is very difficult. And this is also why I commend you on this, especially if you're younger. People are going to look down on you. People are going to think that you're not going to be able to do it, and you have to do it anyway. You need to maintain that delusional self-confidence that you have at the start of your journey, because it's going to pay off dividends in the future. If I didn't have that delusional self-confidence, I wouldn't have made this jump in the first place. So talking to all these clients that I needed to get over to my payment system to get into like all the logistics, I needed to transfer all of these people, and I basically needed to sell 50 people straight away like that. Otherwise, I wasn't going to be able to pay rent next month. And in the end, we did it. We made the jump. We made the leap. Me and the previous owner, we were like, fuck it. Let's do it. We're going to commit to this. He knows what he wants. I know what I want. And we know what's going to be best for these guys, which is our clients. So we moved all these 50 clients. We made the announcement. I dropped a video. I said, this is exactly what's happening. The previous owner is leaving. I'm taking over. I'm going to look after you guys. It was a lot more in depth than that. And with the confidence, the delusional confidence that I had, and the work ethic that I had from grinding through this trudge period, the valley of despair period, they had a bit of belief in me, but I still had to prove it. So I'm still on the climb. Once I convinced all these people to give me their money and trust me to be their new leader in this business, I realized how much work I actually had to do. Because at the start, I was doing a few hours a week, and it was easy because I didn't have to service 50 people. I had no idea of the little micro things that would mess up during the process. I had no idea of the big macro things that would almost completely tear the business down during the process of growth, which is very dangerous. And again, that delusional self-confidence got me through because I was in the water now and I had to swim. When you put yourself in these single swim scenarios and you're a fighter, you're a real fighter, and I don't mean physically, but I mean mentally. You've got a strong will, and you probably do. Again, if you're watching these types of videos, you want to win, but you have to really realize what it takes. And I didn't at the time. I've used this phrase a lot to my clients recently. I've been talking to them and talking about my previous self. If I could talk to myself before I bought the gym, I would tell him, don't do it. You don't know what you're doing. You have no idea what you're getting yourself into. Because I was so out of my depth, and I still am. That's the thing. I'm at a point now, we're making money. We've made over 6 figures this year already, managing about 80 people, 4 team members, and fighting in the meantime. I've also had 3 boxing fights. That confidence from the start got me through, and that grind from the trudging period in the valley of despair also got me through. And now the climb is just building that discipline. The climb period is the longest because you don't know when it's going to stop. That's the thing. I thought buying the gym would make me happy. It didn't. I thought having boxing fights would make me happy. It didn't. I thought it would give me the confidence I needed to actually present myself in the way I wanted, and it didn't. And then I realized I have this unhealthy, almost mentally insane obsession with becoming the best version of myself. that I can with becoming a person who makes the fastest progress, with becoming a person who does the work when he doesn't want to, with becoming the person who wins when all the odds are stacked against him. And I am. And all you have to do is jump in. If you don't know if you can swim or not, how do you think you actually find that out? You jump the fuck in the water and realize, shit, I'm drowning. Fuck, I'm gasping for air. Or, all right, this was easier than I thought. I can swim. Just paddle around a bit. Yeah, sure, this is nice. But once you start paddling for 5 minutes, you start getting a bit tired. 2 days, you realize, oh shit, I can't do this anymore. Let alone a year of treading water. That's when you realize how deep this actually goes. So again, if you're this far and you're still wanting to win, you've probably made it. You probably mentally have already made the exact changes that you need to make. And now you just need to keep on top of those changes. The way that I foster my confidence, especially when I'm in these situations where I keep getting knocked down, keep doing things that make me feel like I'm well out of my depth, keep doing things that make me feel like I'm nowhere near the person I need to be to win. I look back on the good old days, I call them. The valley of despair days that you might be in now are one day going to become the good old days. And so are these days that I'm in right now as well. When I go further and further, I'm going to look back on these days that I am in right now, where I'm struggling to manage the gym, where I'm working these hard days, having panic attacks almost, insane anxiety, stressed out, not having fun, but making progress. And with my team around me, with the boys around me from Polarize, which is a young boys program that I run that helps young men gain muscle and confidence. I'll put the link in the description, a bit of a shameless plug in the middle of this video, but I'm sure that will actually help you out. So I'm not actually ashamed to plug it because I know the work that we put into Polarize, and I'm sure you can sense from the rawness of this video how much work we actually put in to make it a good program. Because all the time I spent treading water, all the time I spent climbing up this massive hill to get some initial success, I then release all those lessons. And that's all I really want to do. Make this process 10 times easier for anyone that comes before me. So there's a couple of things that you do once you reach the climb stage. Number one is finding a group of men that you can actually surround yourself with that are achieving more than you, so you have something to chase, or on par with your competitive level. Not those friends that you were with at the start of your journey that were dragging you down, or even filling your sense of self-confidence up to the point where you thought that you were doing well when you know that you weren't. That were giving you props for chugging the beer at that party. That were giving you props for dating that slag Sarah when you know she was a bad girl. That were giving you the props for being the worst version of yourself and giving you validation for that. That were giving you props for being the worst version of yourself. And by giving you validation for that, actually supported your vision of that. So you wanted to keep doing those things. So once you've made this progress and you start reaching the climb, you need to find friends that actually support you on making this growth trajectory. Friends that don't support you for chugging beers anymore, but support you for doing this hard work, recording these videos when you don't want to, doing these 12-hour long days when you don't want to, making these big, tough calls in your business when you don't want to, winning when it's hard, pushing through when it's hard, and fighting through when the only thing you want to do is lay down and crawl into a ball. Once you've reached this point anyway, you kind of realize there's no fucking turning back anymore. I don't know how I would possibly go back to normal life after doing all the things I've done over the past year, after fighting 3 people, after buying a business, working for myself, employing people, making sales, selling clients, making over $100,000 within this year. I don't have a clue how I could go back to normal life after that. And that's the best thing. The only way is up from there because you can't go back anymore. The only way to go is up and continue to climb and continue the grind. And that's the beautiful thing about it. You can't stop now. Once you've reached this point, you're just going to go up from there. And again, it may not be linear. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be points where you don't want to do this anymore. You take a break. Then you realize you're not going to want to go back. So you're like, okay, the only way is this way. You're not going that way anymore. You're going to continue this path. Then the thing you need to focus on from there is the long-term vision. What you actually want to get out of this, because these 12-hour days aren't going to be fun if you don't have somewhere that you're going. If you're just doing these 12-hour days to do 12-hour days, you're going to burn out and die. You're going to live a very short life. So aligning yourself with a vision that is going to make all the work worth it, and it will be worth it if you keep doing it because you're going to achieve that vision. But you need to set the vision in the first place because otherwise you don't know where you're going. Your climb might be stagnant. But if you have a vision and it's up, which I can't imagine you'd be putting your vision any lower. If your vision's up, you're going to be making progress upwards and not anywhere else. Not backwards, not down, but continuing your path to greatness. And that's actually what it takes to win. If this video didn't scare you off achieving what you want, then I have pretty much 100% confidence that you're going to get there. All it's going to take is the lapsement of time and a bit of fucking hard work. Again, if you need help with this hard work, we have a link in the description, polarizeyourself.com, where we have our community of young men who are looking to achieve the exact same things you are, and we help each other out along the way. So we have friends who are going to support you in this growth rather than to tear you down, and also some extra resources to help make the journey faster, and a bit of a reminder when you're doing well, or a reminder when you need a kick in the butt. So again, another shameless plug for a product that I know is actually worth your time. I'm proud of you for sticking this out, and I'm proud of you for making the leap when you don't have a clue what you're getting yourself into. And I'm proud of you for pushing through that, bro. It's going to be a massive journey, but I think you got this. Keep up the good work and just keep rocking, bro. Keep on keeping on. You're going to make it.